Hello, 8th graders. Welcome to our Friday, February 17th video. We're going to be talking about air pollution today, and this is super interesting to me because of all the things that have gone on in the last month and how the air pollution has changed in different places. So we are going to get started. First thing we're going to talk about is Science World magazine. Okay, look at what was in our Science World magazine that came out, which we don't get to read together, but I just thought, oh, I could show you like a little, read a story too, right? So it's Marching for the Planet, and it's all about climate change. And so it's really interesting to read about these young people, middle schoolers just like you, that are doing these things to help bring climate change to our attention. So some of the things they kind of just talked about is just telling us how climate change is a huge factor in our world today. And they talked about the past 5 years have been the hottest on record. And different things are adding to this, like the fossil fuels we use, like coal, oil, natural gases, all of this kind of stuff to power our cars, our businesses, to heat our homes, is all causing greenhouse gases to be emitted, which is really not very good for our atmosphere. And so it's talking about how the higher temperatures are melting glaciers and ice sheets, which is causing the water levels to rise. It also has led to more extreme weather too, which we've seen with different things. And it has heat waves are becoming longer and more severe. So drought and all of those types of things too, which affect us here in North Dakota since we have so many farmers. They go on to talk about different things that we can do if we can use renewable energy sources, which would be like wind power or solar power, all those things that wouldn't emit greenhouse gases would help so much. So it kind of goes into that. And then this picture right here is really neat because it really shows how greenhouse gases do affect us here on Earth. So usually the sun will come in and it would bounce off and go back out into the solar system. But you can see that when greenhouse gases are emitted, they kind of cause like a layer in our atmosphere. And when those gases from the sun come in and are supposed to bounce off and go back into the solar system, they hit the greenhouse gases and then they come back and they stay in our atmosphere, which causes the heat to rise. So very interesting picture there. Just kind of need to have a little picture with the idea, right? So one of the things I wanted to talk about were things that you can do to help with cutting down on the greenhouse gases that we use. And so some of the things they said, one was to buy less stuff. So the less stuff we buy, the less stuff people have to make. And all the things that we make in factories, all of that produces a lot of greenhouse gases. So that helps a ton. Another one is turning off the lights. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I feel like our family leaves the lights on all the time. Like now that we're home during the day a lot, our lights are always on, and I'm like, why are all the lights on? Even in a room that nobody's been in all day, the light is on. So that's our big thing right now, is we're working on turning off all the lights when you are not using them. Another one would be walking or biking to nearby places rather than taking a car, or you can carpool or use public transportation. Anything that we can do to use our vehicles less would be a huge help. So that was kind of interesting in our science world, and I wish I could share it with you, but fun to see. So the really interesting thing I found was that in India, this fact came from 2007, but nearly 500,000 people die each year in India from air pollution, from different diseases or sicknesses they can get from air pollution. 500,000 people, and that is so many people when you're thinking about deaths per year. And one really interesting thing with all this coronavirus stuff going on is that India has been on lockdown for the last couple weeks, and their pollution has gone down so much that they can actually see the Himalayan mountains now, which they weren't able to see before because of all the air pollution. And so it's just amazing that since everybody's had to stay inside, less gases are emitted, and then the air pollution is so low that you can actually see the mountains, and they can see the stars at night, things that they haven't been able to see in years. In like 30 years, someone said they haven't been able to see the Himalaya mountains. So very neat to hear and just think about how big of a change that makes. So some things that help too are like planting different things like trees and stuff. Just like we did when we were in 5th grade, we planted trees down at Jahinkava Park. It makes a huge difference, right? The trees help clean the air, and that's what we need. I wanted to show you one little thing that my family did, and I used to do this all the time when I was younger and I absolutely loved it. We just took little pods and we planted some grass. And the fun thing about planting grass is you can cut it and give it like a little haircut. Austin just cut his today, and then it grows back. and then you can cut it again and it grows back. And so it's kind of something fun to do. So if you're looking for something neat to do and you want to help the environment by planting something that is going to clean our air, you could plant some grass because you can keep cutting it and it'll keep growing and growing. So something to think about and something kind of fun to do. So just remember, Monday is the day that your AAA award is due. So you need to make sure you have that filled in if you are wanting to apply for that. And then I also want to remind you that if you are interested in being our student speaker for our 8th grade celebration, please send me a message and let me know because we would love to include that in our celebration. So are you ready for the joke of the day? Last part, okay? What's the difference between weather and climate?
What?
You can't weather a tree, but you can climb it.
Mm-hmm.
Get it? You can climb the tree, right? So you have no assignment today. Your assignment was just to watch this video and just talk about air pollution and use this information next week when we do our project. So make sure you are checking in on Monday because I will be explaining our project then. Have a good weekend, everybody.